Well, he lived a life of privilege and promise, but 26-year-old Luigi Mangione is now facing murder charges. And just moments ago, the man accused of killing the United Healthcare CEO in New York was heard screaming at the cameras as he was taken into a Pennsylvania courthouse. Our team on the ground there, hearing him respond to his arrest, yelling, "It's an insult to the intelligence of the American people." Police also now releasing these images of Mangione eating at a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania, just moments before he was arrested. At this hour, they're looking at handwritten notes that they say he was carrying also that could actually point to a possible motive. Irina Roy joins us now with more. So, Irina, what more do we know, first of all, about the extradition hearing, and then what comes next for Mangione?
Yeah, Kira, well, we are told that this extradition hearing is going to be happening any moment now there in Pennsylvania, and it's actually at the same courthouse where Mangione was last night for his arraignment on those local charges when it came to that ghost gun and the fake IDs that police found on him there. And as you said, you know, we're looking at some video here when he shouted out to the press, and I'll just repeat here what our teams on the ground are saying. He said, quote, "This is clearly an injustice and an insult to the intelligence of the American people." And that sentiment really seems to fit this narrative from police that we are hearing about his alleged mindset right now and his potential motive in this case. And again, in just a couple of moments, we could find out when he might be back here in New York to face those murder charges.
Welcome to PDR Live. Thank you for joining. Please like the live stream and subscribe to our channel if you have not done so already. So Luigi Mangione is being portrayed as crazy by the mainstream media. We're going to be taking a look at several clips from some of the coverage in the recent past on the killer of the United Healthcare CEO, Brian Thompson. So we're going to go ahead and queue up the next video here. And we are. Okay, good. So the next clip is going to be the CNN interview of Thomas Dickey, Luigi Mangione's attorney. And the attorney was asked the following question about his client. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that right now.
That's involved in it and challenge it.
So when you talk
That's
about
my duty to my client, and I welcome that.
No, I understand, and that's the way this would go. I am curious, though. I know that when you've talked about his mental health, such that you've interacted with him so far, especially in the context of the rage that he displayed yesterday when he showed up at court, you said that he, from what you could see, he's able to make "quote unquote" knowing decisions. So it just seems to me, and I don't want to get ahead of it, but it seems to me very clear that what you're saying is that you are going to plead not guilty, not guilty by way of insanity or anything like that, just a plain and simple, clear not guilty.
Yeah. So first of all, about this outrage, he's irritated, agitated about what's happening to him and what he's being accused of. He never had any legal representation until he walked into that building yesterday. And I talked to him. And if you notice, look at the film, look at the difference between when he went in and when he come out. So once he got in, he finally had legal representation. I like to think he had somebody that he can trust and has faith in, and now he has a spokesperson and someone that's going to fight for him. And so I think you'll see a big difference in the demeanor, and I think that part of that, whatever you want to interpret that as yesterday, was a lot of the frustration, being a young man, thrown in.
So there it is. The rage is, she called it, and so it's a clear attempt by the media just to focus on the rage aspect of this person's client. So we're gonna go ahead and cue up the next video over here of Mangione, and this is also CNN. Basically comparing Luigi Mangione to Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber. And so Mangione did do a book review on Goodreads on Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, this past January 2024, and that's what they're going to make reference to in this next clip here in CNN here.
Exclusive statement to Outfront from the brother of the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski. Tonight, after learning that the CEO murder suspect praised the Unabomber, David Kaczynski tells us, and he sent us this, he says, quote, "I love my brother, and turning him in was the most difficult and painful thing I've had to do in my life. But as much as I love Ted, I hate what he did to kill and maim his fellow human beings. Whatever you may think of Ted Kaczynski's ideas, and I do believe they merit thinking about, we must reject his harmful actions." It comes as we are learning more about the similarities between Luigi Mangione and Ted Kaczynski. And Jason Carroll is out front.
If Luigi Mangione speaks like he did outside court Tuesday, investigators listen closely, and not just to what he's saying now that he's in custody, but also to what he has said or written in the past, such as these unsettling words. "Violence never solved anything" is a statement uttered by cowards and predators. Mangione wrote that in January 2024 in support of the notorious Unabomber Ted Kaczynski. It's part of the Goodreads review Mangione wrote of Kaczynski's 1995 anti-technology manifesto, Industrial Society and Its Future.
We just hope that this might be of additional assistance in obtaining leads regarding the Unabomber suspect.
Kaczynski terrorized the nation for years. He served 8 life sentences for sending mail bombs that killed 3 and wounded 23 others from the late 70s until the mid-90s. According to an NYPD intelligence analysis report obtained by CNN, Mangione may have found inspiration in Ted Kaczynski. The report reads, he notably praised the writings of Kaczynski. Mangione liked several passages from Kaczynski's manifesto in his review, defending it, writing, "It's easy to quickly and thoughtless write this off as the manifesto of a lunatic."
I think Mangione is very much inspired by the work of Kaczynski and his manifesto.
Scott Bond is a criminologist who has written about serial killers and Kaczynski. He says he sees a chilling similarity.
They have to find a way to justify it. And in the case of Kaczynski and also Mangione, I believe that they justified it as this was a necessary evil.
Other notable...
So there it is. Luigi Mangione compared to the Unabomber, and the mainstream media just pointing out that comparison, that of course that he made reference to the book about Ted Kaczynski, and writing that, hey, he was a man of action, he took action, he's not crazy, was the gist of his book review. We're going to take a look at a clip here from Court TV that they're just like outraged that this man is getting all of this attention from the public.
Profile murders, it's on video, and they believe he did it, and they believe he's a hero. Why?
Well, Vinny, first, I must say, celebrating violence can be problematic and potentially dangerous to society, regardless of the underlying grievances. But when I watch these samples that you had just shared with us, I think about the psychology of like the vigilante justice, right? It could be similar to the Robin Hood narrative. They're perceived as him fighting the system, and it can resonate with a lot of people's feelings of powerlessness and almost using that misplaced projection pretty much of justice seeking of what's happened in this case. But then we also think about things that were happening way before what has happened with the United Healthcare CEO, and that's just the healthcare system's frustration, right? So when we think about these deep-seated anger issues over whether it's healthcare cost or resentment towards insurance companies or people's personal experiences. Maybe it's theirs, maybe it's a parent, or maybe there's someone that they watched in their family, and then they can view this healthcare executives as these symbols, as a systematic problem. So when they're looking at him and making him this hero, it's almost like this Robin Hood. He's coming and saving the day, and he's dealing with this crisis of trust that a lot of people are having declining faith in these institutes and their perception that peaceful change is impossible, so they can view his direct action as the only recourse. And I think that's where we're hearing some of that. So we're looking at just some of these major factors that a lot of these younger people in general, right, are kind of taking hold to, and that's that healthcare remains a major source of, whether it's bankruptcy or maybe watching a family member not do so well and not get the help that they need. So it's just a growing problem of anger at the healthcare system, and then we're seeing them kind of hold on to this cause and him being the representation of that.
David Katz, sometimes in movies that go back and take a look at, drug kingpins, they glamorize it a little bit, the scar faces and things like that. We've seen that adoration, but those are movies and that's fake. This is like real life, a real murder that was witnessed by everyone who is praising the person they believe is responsible. Yet you look at his background, right? You're raging against the CEOs and the machine here. Yet his family's incredible wealth was built through a chain of healthcare or assisted living facilities, nursing homes that are dependent upon insurance companies and all of that, country clubs. He's part of the 1% of the 1%, yet they still see him as a hero. What do you think's going on here, David Katz?
Yeah, I'm going to go with undisciplined, entitled snowflakes who think that they are justified as long as they feel passionately about a topic. They can do anything they want. Look at all the recent in the last 5 years. Take a look at all the violent demonstrations we've had with absolutely zero consequences to people who are torching police cars, who are throwing rocks, bottles, beating people. This is no different. This is the exact same person. This guy lives a life of privilege that most of us can only dream about. And to suggest that, well, he's some sort of Robin Hood, and and I've heard other suggestions that, well, he might have had an unfortunate encounter with the healthcare industry. That is just absolutely ludicrous. That's not what this is about at all.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think we heard today, Dr. Jane Lacey,
So there it is. He lived a life of privilege, and this guy, how dare these people just glorify this guy who's a killer? He lived a life of privilege, as if the United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, with his $10.2 million salary, did not live a life of luxury. He lived a life of humility and humbleness and of frugality. So we should not ascribe these attributes of that we're ascribing Luigi Mangione to the CEO of United Health. No. So these people are just they're just crazy to be supporting this guy at all. Even TMZ weighed in on this. TMZ also weighed in. They had these 2 cents to contribute to the story. Luigi Mangione smashes open beer on head, chugs it. Life of the party in college. So let's take a look at this video clip here that they have on here. And here we go. So you get the idea there that this guy, you get the idea there that just this guy is just a loose cannon. They're trying to portray him, hey, this guy's crazy. This is obviously just a hit piece. This is what the media does to someone they consider a threat, that they're going to try to tar and feather you as just a crazy lunatic. Now, is he crazy? He probably is. But that's not the point. The media gets most of its revenue through advertising dollars, through corporate America spending money on ads in print media and in telecommunications, in cable news, on TV. That's why the TV, when you turn on TV, that's non-cable, it's free, because it's the corporations buy the ads. Newspapers could be free if they wanted to, because they have so much advertising on them. And actually, there was a local newspaper here in my town here in my city here in LA that for I think it still is free. It's the LA Weekly, because it just relies on advertising. So they have to be cognizant of what their advertisers think, because if their advertisers pull the plug on their advertising money, then they're going to lose revenue. And so the healthcare industry is a big source of a lot of this advertising dollars given to the mainstream media. And if you guys recall, during the 2020 Democratic presidential primaries, the presidential candidate Bernie Sanders pointed out during the CNN debate that when CNN would cut to commercial during the debate, they're probably going to be cutting to a commercial of a health insurance company. So that's what's probably going on here. That they want the public to just focus on this person's misdeeds and shift attention away from the misdeeds of United Healthcare and the other companies and their practices. So TMZ article says Luigi Mangione here, suspected killer in the Brian Thompson murder case, was unafraid to let loose and have a good time during his college years, going wild in a video from his time at the University of Pennsylvania. Now, mind you, this was probably before his alleged surgery. Okay? And now we've gotten more information about his surgery that he probably most likely did have. So the article states Luigi Mangione, the suspected killer in the Brian Thompson murder case, was unafraid to let loose and have a good time during his college years, going wild in a video from his time at the University of Pennsylvania. In the video obtained by TMZ, Luigi is seen repeatedly smashing a beer on his forehead before chugging down the alcoholic beverage. Several partygoers hype up Luigi during the party trick as he's filmed gulping down the beer. Source tells it TMZ the wild scene took place at a massive St. Patrick's Day party. So that explains him wearing a green shirt, which explains the number of green shirts in the footage at the Ivy League school in 2019. So 2019, this is most likely before his alleged back issues with his back. And they don't even point that out. Per the source, this behavior wasn't unusual for Luigi either, with the insider describing LM as the life of the party in the college. We're told Luigi often gave off total frat bro vibes, but was still well liked and popular, which had to do with the fact that he was very kind, funny, naturally intelligent, and creative. The source says Luigi, who majored in computer engineering, was a tech-oriented guy who had a work hard, play hard mentality at school. Luigi was in no way a loner, according to the source, noting LM was not the typical person you'd expect to be a suspect in a violent shooting. And there it is. And so that's some of the portrayals of the mainstream media here. So we're now going to take you to a clip by Thomas Hartman. And this is Hartman here. Just going to cue up the video.
It seems, I haven't seen any official numbers. I'm not sure there's any official agency that tracks this kind of stuff, but it certainly seems to me like 9 out of 10 of the social media posts I've seen that have to do with the assassination of Brian Thompson have been basically cheering on the shooter, which is a really sad commentary on the state of the American healthcare system, that so many people are so angry about this system that
that's the point. That's really the point. And we're going to be ending this live stream really with this video. This is the point. That, in the previous segments, we had the mainstream media just, portraying him, hey, he's crazy, he's just, loose, and how could people possibly even support this guy? Well, but that's an indictment of the system. See, this is what they don't get. That yes, it was a cold-blooded killing. Absolutely. But it took a cold-blooded killer, or the alleged cold-blooded killer, if it is this guy, and we're assuming it is because we're accepting the evidence, the so-called evidence that they claim that they have on him, the fingerprints, the shell casings, and so forth, the manifesto, the firearm that was found in his possession. So we're assuming that all this is, if we assume that all of this information is correct, the fact that the public is supporting such an individual is an indictment of the health insurance industry. It's not an indictment of people supporting him. Okay? Because the people who are supporting him are probably doing so because they want somebody to get back at the system. We talked about this before with people who voted for Trump. That not all people who voted for Trump are MAGA supporters. There's a significant group of people in this country who want to get back at the system because the system has caused harm to them, and so they want somebody in there who's going to do something about it, or they want someone who in politics who they feel is going to channel their anger, and who's going to go in there and raise hell, or hopefully do something to change the situation. This is what a lot of the people are thinking, whether it's right or wrong, and it's really shouldn't be the mainstream media's. And it should not be their role to be judge or judging their morality. Instead, what they should be doing is reporting on the situation or trying to understand why people feel this way. The problem, like I mentioned before, is because media gets most of its revenue from advertising dollars, they have to cater to corporate America. Okay, and that's just the situation there. So Tom Hartman continues.
Extract literally billions of dollars in profits and pay their executives literally millions of dollars in order to, have their profits, I guess. The 2-minute, 45-second speech, as I said, followed the assassination. United Healthcare reportedly has one of the highest denial rates in the entire healthcare industry. Was last year sued, I'm reading from the Independent here, for allegedly using.
Sorry, he's reading from the newspaper. The Independent, if it's the same one that I'm thinking, it's a paper of record in England. So right now, he's doing what the mainstream media should be doing, which is, hey, it takes two to tango, right? We have the assassin, yes, okay? But we should also look into the other party involved in this situation. What was the other party doing during this situation? Well, Tom Hartman is going to tell you.
Using a flawed AI algorithm to systematically deny care coverage to seniors. That would be through their Advantage program. Mr. Whitty told employees that Thompson was dedicated to the goal of United Healthcare's mission, which he says is to truly make sure that we help the system improve by helping the experience of individuals get better and better. I'm guessing many United Healthcare policyholders would disagree with that. Probably many would agree with it as well. It's if you're not in the 32% who've been, or the I don't know what percentage have had denials. Apparently it's 32% of all claims.
So correct. It's about 33. One out of every 3 claims have been rejected by United Healthcare. They have the highest amount of claims rejected in the health insurance industry. So that's a key point. Denying claims is a form of violence. It's not the same thing as shooting someone, but if a lot of these claims deal with treatment that a person needs to get better, to heal, or a life-saving operation could mean life or death. So what's the difference between Luigi Mangione and United Healthcare? Right? Yes, what Luigi Mangione did is what a psychopath would do. But how many people did Luigi Mangione kill? One. How many people have United Healthcare killed? I don't know, but it's probably more than one. So Hartman continues.
But he claimed few people in the history of the U.S. healthcare industry have had a bigger positive effect on American healthcare than Brian. And I can just see people kind of gagging all over the country as they hear that. He said, "We guard against the pressures that exist for unsafe care or for unnecessary care to be delivered in a way which makes the whole system too complex and ultimately unsustainable." Well, the system is too complex and is unsustainable. It's going to cost us $55 to $60 trillion over the next 10 years if United Healthcare and their peer companies continue to play the major role in providing our health care and paying for our health care. Whereas if we went to Bernie Sanders' single-payer healthcare system, it would cost $32 trillion. There's a big difference between $50 trillion and $32 trillion over a decade.
And that's something that the health insurance industry does not want. Medicare for all, why do they not want that? Well, if you read the bill, the Medicare for all bill that was drafted several years ago, it would phase out the private insurance industry. So they don't want any of that out there in the public, because if it gets out into the public, then maybe people will start to support it. And actually, something that I just remembered is when Bernie Sanders either dropped out in 2020, and either dropped out or it was evident that he was not going to win, the stock prices of these healthcare companies, these health insurance companies, actually went up. And during the campaign, there were a series of articles where executives from the health insurance industry were telling reporters off the record that they were concerned that Bernie Sanders might become the Democratic presidential nominee, and if elected, he could help push Medicare for all, and they would all be out of work. So that what Mr. Hartman's just pointed out right now, this Medicare for all bill, it would actually save about $20 trillion in the next 10 years if we implemented this, because it would get rid of a lot of these costs, the overbilling that these companies, especially Medicare Advantage, that would be gone. And there's a lot of overbilling that these companies do because it's in their self-interest to do such a thing. And he goes on.
Backpack that the shooter left in Central Park apparently was filled with Monopoly money. Now, what's that about? My guess, if I had to make a guess, and I suppose I might as well, is that he intended to sprinkle the money over the body of the guy he shot, but that he just, decided to flee instead, by way of saying, I'm killing you because of what you did for money. We'll see. I mean, in my article today, there is one sentence that I really struggled with, but ultimately this is how I wrote it. Essentially, United Healthcare's CEO Brian Thompson made decisions that killed Americans for a living in exchange for $10 million a year. He and his peers in the industry are probably paid as much as they are because there is an actual shortage of people with business training who are willing to oversee decisions that cause or allow others to die in exchange for millions in annual compensation. And this is a theme that we've delved into many times in this program, including with a number of guests who were psychiatrists. which is that, you know, there are studies that show that as many as 1 in 5 American CEOs are actually psychopaths, that psychopaths become some of the most successful business leaders because they just don't care what their actions do to average people. They only care for themselves and their company. They're singularly focused on that, which is, you know, in essence, capitalism or corporate capitalism is psychopathic. It doesn't care. Corporations don't care what happened to their customers or what happens to the people that they interact with or even their impact on the local community.
And that's the main takeaway, that these people are psychopathic, these CEOs, and the mainstream media, their only focus is on the psychopathy of Luigi Mangione. That's it. That's the only concern that they have. He's crazy. You shouldn't support a crazy guy. He's a cold-blooded killer. Their only empathy, the mainstream media's only empathy, is with the CEO. But what was the CEO doing? The CEO is also a psychopath. We know this because his LinkedIn profile, his own people and his own social media network were bringing to his attention that, and they were not attacking him, they were just bringing up concerns when he was alive, that, hey, your company, you claim that your company is doing all these magnificent business practices, but hey, they just denied my family member this care, this please. And then one person said, please give me a call. They gave them their number so we can talk about this to rectify this problem. So even in his own circles, in his own social media circles, the CEO's own lack of empathy for the family members of people who followed him on social media, on LinkedIn, a professional social media site. He had no empathy for those people. Absolutely no respect. And the mainstream media is not even pointing that out at all. Okay, they're asking people, and I think even Piers Morgan, I believe, was one of them. I think that Piers Morgan asked Brianna Joy whether she had any empathy for this killer. Let me see if I can bring up the video here, but I think it's this one here. So yeah, so she asked him, and she said no. To her credit, to Brianna Joy's credit, she said no. I don't have any empathy for this guy who represented United Health. So I just found I wasn't thinking of bringing up Piers Morgan, but I'm going to go ahead and cue this video right now.
Earlier, had this shooter executed
any man, so they decide to get all turned on by assassins. It's I think evidence of how the left wing's brain is broken, and they will use any situation to try to justify that which is unjustifiable.
Yeah, Brianna, let me bring you in. Welcome to Uncensored. I believe it's your debut, so great to have you. Just on the before we get to the shooting and the way it's been celebrated and so on, this whole issue of the hot assassin. You know, I made the point on X earlier. Had this shooter executed a female CEO of a company, of a healthcare company, I don't think any women on the left would have gone public and talked about what a hot assassin he was. Do you?